Imagine standing on the edge of a breakthrough, feeling that fire inside you, knowing you're meant for something bigger, but something keeps holding you back. Is it fear, doubt? The stories you've been telling yourself for years? What if I told you that the only thing standing between you and unstoppable success is your psychology? The most successful people in the world aren't just lucky. They don't have more time, more resources, or even more talent than you. What they have is a mindset so powerful that nothing, not failure, rejection, or fear, can stop them. Today, I'm going to break down the exact psychological principles that separate those who achieve their wildest dreams from those who stay stuck in the same cycle year after year. By the end of this, you won't just know what it takes to be unstoppable, you'll feel it in every fiber of your being. Are you ready to step into your greatness? Let's dive in. Step 1, mastering your mindset. Success begins in your mind before it ever shows up in your life. If you don't believe in yourself, why would anyone else? Every decision, every action, every breakthrough starts with the thoughts you allow to dominate your brain. Your beliefs are like a thermostat. If your belief system is set at 70 degrees, you might get a little more success, but your mind will pull you right back to what's familiar. If you want to be unstoppable, you need to turn up the heat. You need to rewire your mind for higher standards, bigger goals, and total certainty. Your mindset is the foundation of everything you achieve or fail to achieve in life. It dictates your beliefs, your actions, and ultimately your results. If you want to experience unstoppable success, the first thing you must do is take control of your mind. Most people never reach their full potential because they allow limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and past failures to shape their future. They don't realize that success starts internally before it manifests externally. Your mind operates like a thermostat. If it's set at a certain level of belief, confidence, or expectation, your external world will always adjust to match that setting. Imagine a thermostat set at 70 degrees. If the temperature in the room drops, the heater kicks in and brings it back to 70. If it gets too hot, the air conditioning will bring it back down. Your mindset works the same way. If you see yourself as someone who only achieves average results, even if you temporarily experience success, you will unconsciously sabotage yourself to return to that familiar level. On the other hand, if you reprogram your mind to believe you are capable of massive success, you will naturally take actions that align with that identity, regardless of the obstacles that come your way. The problem is that most people have inherited a mindset based on fear, scarcity, and self-imposed limitations. These beliefs are not facts. They are simply patterns that have been repeated so many times that they feel like the truth. They come from childhood experiences, societal conditioning, and past disappointments. But the good news is that your mindset is not fixed. It can be rewired, reprogrammed, and reshaped to serve you instead of working against you. One of the biggest shifts you must make is understanding that your thoughts are not just passive ideas floating around in your head. They are powerful forces that shape your reality. Every time you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I always fail, or success is for other people, not me, your brain takes that as a command and finds ways to make it true. But the moment you consciously decide to shift your thoughts, to replace those old destructive beliefs with empowering ones, you begin to change the trajectory of your life. The key is to train your mind like an elite athlete trains their body. Just like you wouldn't expect to build muscle by lifting weights once, you can't expect to develop an unstoppable mindset by thinking positive thoughts once in a while. You have to make it a daily practice. You have to flood your mind with empowering beliefs, visualize your success with absolute certainty, and eliminate the toxic thoughts that try to pull you back to your old level. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping your mindset as well. If you constantly surround yourself with people who doubt you, complain about life, or settle for mediocrity, it's only a matter of time before you adopt the same mindset. But if you immerse yourself in the ideas, strategies, and energy of people who think bigger, aim higher, and refuse to settle, their mindset will start to influence yours. This is why successful people are extremely intentional about who they spend time with, what they read, and what they focus on daily. The truth is, every single person who has achieved extraordinary success started with nothing more than a shift in their mindset. They weren't born with special abilities, unlimited resources, or a secret formula. They simply mastered their psychology. They train themselves to think differently, to expect more, and to refuse to accept anything less than the best version of themselves. If you want unstoppable success, it starts with a decision to take control of your mind, to rewire your beliefs, and to elevate your expectations, because once you do that, everything else will fall into place. Step 2, the power of absolute certainty. Think about the most successful people on the planet. They don't just hope things will work out, they know they will. That kind of certainty is magnetic. It forces the world to align with your vision. When you eliminate doubt and commit fully, your brain stops looking for an escape route. Instead, it focuses on making things happen. Winners don't wait for permission. They decide and the world adjusts. Certainty is the invisible force that separates those who achieve greatness from those who live in hesitation and doubt. It is not just a feeling. It is a state of mind so powerful that it shapes reality itself. When you have absolute certainty, you eliminate hesitation, destroy self-doubt, and operate with a level of conviction that makes success inevitable. Think about the moments in your life when you were absolutely certain about something, when you just knew deep in your core that something was going to happen, and then it did. That wasn't luck. That was the power of your mind aligning with your actions to create the outcome you expected. Most people never experience this level of certainty because they allow fear, doubt, and external opinions to dictate their beliefs. They hope things will work out, but they don't fully commit. And that lack of commitment keeps them stuck in the same cycle of frustration and inaction. When you study the most successful people in history, you will see one common trait. They never question whether they will succeed. They might not know how they're going to do it, but they operate with the unshakable belief that they will. This isn't arrogance or wishful thinking. It's a psychological state that forces their brain to focus on solutions instead of obstacles. When you remove the option of failure from your mind, your brain stops searching for ways to back out, and instead it finds ways to move forward. The problem is that most people have been conditioned to doubt themselves. From an early age, we are taught to be realistic, to lower our expectations, and to avoid disappointment. Society tells us to prepare for failure, to have a backup plan, and to always leave room for doubt. But the moment you entertain doubt, you weaken your ability to take decisive action. Imagine an athlete stepping onto the field, questioning whether they have what it takes to win. That hesitation, even for a split second, can cost them everything. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you allow uncertainty to creep in, it will paralyze you. Certainty is what allows people to make bold moves when others hesitate. It's what gives entrepreneurs the confidence to invest in an idea that no one else believes in. It's what drives champions to push past exhaustion and fight for victory when everyone else would have given up. It's what fuels visionaries to turn impossibilities into reality. The stronger your certainty, the more the world bends to your will. Your level of certainty dictates your level of success because it determines the intensity of your actions. When you're absolutely certain that you will achieve something, you work differently. You don't procrastinate. You don't entertain excuses. You don't let temporary setbacks shake your belief. You simply do whatever it takes. And that level of commitment forces the universe to respond. Opportunities that seemed invisible before suddenly appear. Resources that you didn't think you had suddenly become available. It's not magic. It's the natural result of a mind that is laser focused on a goal without room for doubt. There is a reason why people who are fully committed always seem to get better results than those who are half in, half out. When you approach something with uncertainty, you subconsciously hold back, you hesitate, you play it safe. And in doing so, you never unleash your full potential. But when you operate with absolute certainty, you activate a different level of intensity. You attack challenges with unstoppable force. You become resourceful, resilient, and relentless. You move with the kind of energy that makes success a foregone conclusion. The challenge is that most people think certainty comes after success. They believe they will be confident once they achieve their goals. But the truth is, certainty creates success. You have to decide to be certain before you have the results. That's the difference between those who wait for life to prove them right and those who force life to align with their vision. If you want to develop absolute certainty, you must condition it daily. It's not enough to feel confident once in a while. You have to make certainty your default state. This means training your mind to reject doubt, immersing yourself in empowering beliefs, and repeatedly affirming your ability to succeed no matter what. It means visualizing your goals with such clarity that your brain starts to believe they are already happening. It means taking action before you feel ready, proving to yourself that you don't need external validation to move forward. The most unstoppable people in the world are not the ones with the best resources, the most talent, or the easiest path. They are the ones who refuse to question whether they will win. They are the ones who step into every challenge with a mindset that success is already theirs. Because when you operate with absolute certainty, the world has no choice but to adjust to your reality. Step 3, embracing pain and pleasure for growth. Most people let fear stop them. The successful use fear as fuel. Your brain is designed to avoid pain and seek pleasure, but here's the secret: you can rewire that system. When you associate massive pain with staying the same and massive pleasure with taking action, your entire psychology shifts. Suddenly, fear of failure is no longer bigger than the pain of regret, and that's when you become unstoppable. Pain and pleasure are the two forces that drive every decision you make. They shape your actions, dictate your habits, and determine the trajectory of your life. At the core of human psychology, everything we do is either to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. But here's the key. Most people allow this mechanism to control them unconsciously rather than using it as a tool for transformation. If you want unstoppable success, you must learn to take control of these forces and rewire your mind to associate massive pain with inaction and massive pleasure with taking action. Most people run from pain. They avoid discomfort, failure, rejection, and struggle because they have been conditioned to believe that pain is something negative. But this mindset is what keeps them stuck. When you avoid pain, you also avoid growth. Every major transformation in life comes from a moment of intense pain. Whether it's the pain of hitting rock bottom, the pain of regret, or the pain of feeling stuck in a life that is less than what you are capable of. The people who break through and achieve extraordinary results are not the ones who avoid pain, but the ones who embrace it and use it as fuel. Think about any time you made a drastic change in your life. Chances are it wasn't because you were feeling comfortable and everything was going great. It was because something became too painful to tolerate. Maybe it was a moment where you looked in the mirror and realized you were tired of being out of shape. Maybe it was the realization that you were stuck in a job that drained your soul. Maybe it was the unbearable frustration of watching others succeed while you stayed in the same place. That pain became the trigger for transformation. The key to mastering this psychology is to stop waiting for external pain to push you into action and instead create it internally. You must learn to attach so much pain to staying the same that you become forced to change. When you train your mind to link massive pain to inaction, procrastination, and playing small, you eliminate hesitation. Your brain will do whatever it takes to avoid pain, and if staying the same becomes more painful than taking action, you will move forward automatically. On the other side of this equation is pleasure. The reason most people struggle to stay consistent with success habits is that they associate more pleasure with short-term comfort than with long-term results. They link pleasure to watching TV instead of building their business. They link pleasure to eating junk food instead of taking care of their body. They link pleasure to staying in their comfort zone instead of pushing through fear. As a result, they stay trapped in patterns that don't serve them. But the most successful people have learned to reverse this. They have conditioned their minds to associate massive pleasure with the actions that lead to success. They find joy in discipline. They find excitement in challenges. They feel a deep sense of fulfillment in pushing past their limits. What used to feel like effort and struggle becomes something they crave because they have linked it to a higher level of satisfaction. This is why some people love working out while others hate it. It's why some people are addicted to personal growth while others avoid it. It's not about willpower or genetics. It's about what they have trained their brain to associate with pleasure and pain. If you believe that going to the gym is exhausting and painful, you'll avoid it. But if you link massive pleasure to the feeling of being strong, confident, and energized, you will look forward to it. One of the fastest ways to rewire this in your own life is to vividly imagine the pain of not taking action. Picture what your life will look like in 5 years if you continue with the same habits, the same excuses, and the same level of effort. How will you feel knowing that you wasted time? How much regret will you carry for not stepping into your full potential? Imagine the disappointment of looking back and realizing that nothing changed because you were too afraid to push through discomfort. Then contrast that with the pleasure of taking action. Visualize the excitement of breaking through barriers, the pride of becoming the person you know you can be, and the joy of experiencing true success. When you feel this deeply, you shift your brain at a subconscious level. It stops resisting the work required for success and starts craving it. Most people operate at the mercy of pain and pleasure, letting these forces control them, but the few who master these forces become unstoppable. They use pain as a motivator and pleasure as a reward system that drives them to greatness. When you learn to take control of these drivers, you take control of your future. Step 4, taking massive, relentless action. It's not about taking a step. It's about taking the first 100 steps with the same intensity as the first one. Success isn't about knowing what to do, it's about doing what you already know. Most people get excited, take action for a few days, and then lose momentum. The winners, they never stop. They adjust, refine, and push harder. They don't wait for motivation, they create it through action. Action is the great separator between those who dream and those who achieve. Ideas, strategies, and knowledge mean nothing without execution. The world is filled with people who have incredible potential, brilliant plans, and big ambitions, yet they never break through because they don't take massive, relentless action. They hesitate, they overthink, they wait for the perfect moment, and in doing so, they stay stuck while others who are willing to move forward, even imperfectly, pass them by. If you want to create unstoppable success, you must train yourself to take massive action with relentless intensity, no matter what obstacles come your way. The reason most people fail to take action is not because they lack intelligence, resources, or ability. It's because they have conditioned themselves to hesitate. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, every time you allow fear to hold you back, every time you let excuses dictate your behavior, you reinforce the habit of inaction. Your brain learns that avoiding action is acceptable, and the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Successful people, on the other hand, have trained themselves to operate differently. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for confidence. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They take action first, knowing that clarity and confidence come through movement, not before it. They understand that hesitation is the enemy of momentum, and the moment they feel themselves pausing, they push forward with even more intensity. Massive action is not about taking a single step or making an occasional effort. It's about overwhelming a problem with energy, focus, and persistence until it is completely dominated. Most people take small, hesitant actions and then wonder why they don't see results. They go to the gym a few times and expect a transformation. They work on their business inconsistently and wonder why they aren't making money. They apply for a handful of jobs and complain that nothing is happening. The truth is, if you want to create extraordinary success, you must take extraordinary levels of action. Think about a rocket launching into space. The most energy is required at liftoff. It has to generate massive thrust to break through the gravitational pull of the Earth. But once it gets past that initial resistance, it gains momentum and moves effortlessly. Your success works the same way. The beginning is always the hardest. You will face doubt, obstacles, and resistance, but if you push through with relentless action, you will gain momentum. And once you have momentum, nothing can stop you. Relentless action means you keep moving forward no matter what. It means you don't stop after one failure, one rejection, or one setback. Most people take action until it gets hard, then they quit. But the ones who truly succeed take action until they get what they want. There is no I tried in their vocabulary, only I will make this happen. They don't dabble, they commit fully. They don't get discouraged when things don't go as planned. They adjust and keep pushing. If you study the most successful people in any field, you will notice they all have one thing in common. They outwork everyone else. They don't just take action, they take massive action. When others make 10 phone calls, they make 100. When others practice for an hour, they practice for 5. When others give up after a few attempts, they keep going until they break through. This level of intensity creates a psychological advantage. The more action you take, the more confidence you build. The more confidence you build, the more unstoppable you become. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that they need motivation to take action. They wait until they feel like doing something before they do it. But the truth is, motivation follows action, not the other way around. If you wait until you're motivated, you'll be waiting forever. The moment you start moving, even if you don't feel like it, your brain shifts, you create momentum, and suddenly motivation kicks in. Taking relentless action also means eliminating distractions and excuses. Most people spend more time talking about what they're going to do than actually doing it. They research, they plan, they overanalyze, but they never execute. Planning is important, but it should never become a substitute for action. Success does not come from perfect plans. It comes from aggressive execution. The truth is, life will always throw obstacles in your way. You will never have the perfect conditions. There will always be reasons to wait, to hesitate, to hold back. But the people who succeed are the ones who move forward anyway. They take action, despite fear, despite uncertainty, despite challenges. Because they understand that the only way to guarantee failure is to do nothing. But when you commit to massive, relentless action, you put yourself on the path where success becomes inevitable. Step 5, building bulletproof resilience. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every major breakthrough in history came from someone who refused to stay down. The question isn't, will you fail? It's what will you do when you do? If you see every setback as a lesson, every obstacle as a test, and every delay as preparation, you will win. Because the people who succeed aren't the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who refuse to give up. Resilience is the foundation of unstoppable success. It is the ability to take hit after hit and keep moving forward with even more intensity. It is the force that allows people to rise from failure, setbacks, and rejection without losing momentum. Every single person who has achieved something great has had to develop resilience, because success is never a straight line. There will be challenges, there will be moments of doubt, and there will be times when everything seems to be working against you, but the ones who make it are the ones who refuse to break. Most people think resilience is about avoiding pain or pushing through hardship with sheer willpower. But true resilience isn't just about enduring difficulties. It's about using them as fuel. It's about rewiring your brain to see obstacles not as threats, but as opportunities to grow stronger. The people who achieve the greatest success are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail the most and use those failures to their advantage. Failure is only failure if you stop. Every challenge you face has the potential to either weaken you or strengthen you, and the way you interpret it determines your future. Most people experience failure and immediately attach a negative meaning to it. They tell themselves, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, this wasn't meant for me. And because they believe that, they quit. But the people who succeed tell themselves a different story. When they fail, they don't see it as a dead end, they see it as feedback. They analyze what went wrong, adjust their approach, and attack again with even more determination. Resilience is built in the moments when you feel like giving up but choose to keep going. It's easy to stay motivated when everything is going well, but the real test is what you do when nothing is working, when you're exhausted, when doors keep closing in your face. Do you stop or do you push forward anyway? The ability to keep taking action in the face of adversity is what separates the winners from everyone else. Most people are fragile because they've never trained themselves to handle discomfort. The moment things get tough, they retreat. They let fear and frustration control them. But resilience is like a muscle. The more you push through challenges, the stronger you become. Every time you refuse to give up, you reinforce the identity of someone who cannot be broken. And the stronger that identity becomes, the less anything can shake you. Your level of resilience is determined by what you focus on in difficult moments. Weak-minded people focus on the problem. They dwell on what went wrong, why things are unfair, and how hard everything is. But resilient people focus on solutions. They don't waste time complaining or feeling sorry for themselves. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I adapt? What's the next move? And because they focus on solutions instead of problems, they always find a way forward. One of the biggest factors in building resilience is controlling your emotional state. When things go wrong, most people allow their emotions to spiral out of control. They become frustrated, angry, or discouraged, and that emotional state weakens them. But resilient people take control of their emotions. They develop the ability to stay calm, focused, and determined, no matter what is happening around them. They don't let external circumstances dictate their internal state. Instead, they use their internal state to take control of their circumstances. Resilience also comes from the ability to reframe pain. Most people see pain as something to avoid, something negative. But resilient people understand that pain is necessary for growth. They don't run from it, they lean into it. They see every struggle as a stepping stone to the next level. They recognize that the hardest moments of their life are the ones that will shape them into the strongest version of themselves. Every great success story is built on resilience. The most successful people in the world have been rejected, ridiculed, and faced with overwhelming challenges. But instead of letting those obstacles stop them, they used them as fuel. They kept going when others quit. They found solutions when others gave up. They refused to let failure define them. And because of that, they became unstoppable. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you develop through experience, through action, through refusing to break no matter what life throws at you. It is the decision to stand up every time you are knocked down. It is the mindset that no matter how many times you fail, you will always rise stronger. And once you build that kind of resilience, nothing can stand in your way. Step 5, creating an identity of greatness. Your identity is the foundation of everything you achieve in life. It is the invisible force that determines your actions, habits, and decisions. No matter how many strategies you learn, no matter how much motivation you feel, you will always act in alignment with the identity you believe about yourself. If you see yourself as someone who is average, who struggles, who isn't meant for greatness, then no amount of effort will change your results in the long term. But when you create an identity of greatness, when you become the person who naturally succeeds, then success is no longer something you chase, it's something that happens automatically. Most people never realize that their identity is controlling them. They think their struggles are due to lack of opportunity, intelligence, or resources, but in reality, they are simply living in alignment with an identity that is holding them back. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, then you will unconsciously make decisions that reinforce that belief. If you believe you're bad with money, you will find ways to spend recklessly, avoid financial discipline, and prove yourself right. If you think, I'm just not a disciplined person, then no matter how many goals you set, you will always find a way to sabotage yourself. Your identity is shaped by the stories you tell yourself. These stories are built over time based on past experiences, childhood conditioning, and repeated thoughts. If you grew up hearing things like money is hard to earn, you have to play it safe, or people like us don't succeed, then those beliefs have likely been wired into your subconscious. And unless you actively change them, they will control your life. The problem is most people accept these beliefs as truth rather than recognizing them as just a story they've been telling themselves. But the truth is your identity is not fixed. You have the power to rewrite your story and become the person who succeeds at the highest level. Think about the most successful people in history, athletes, entrepreneurs, visionaries. They didn't just have better skills or more talent. They had a stronger identity. They saw themselves as champions before they ever won anything. They saw themselves as leaders before anyone else followed them. They built an unshakable belief in who they were before they had the results to prove it. And because their identity was already aligned with success, they took the kind of action that created that success. The fastest way to change your life is to change the way you see yourself. Instead of focusing on what you need to do, focus on who you need to become. If you want to be successful, ask yourself, how does a successful person think? How do they make decisions? How do they handle challenges? And then start living as that person now. Not when you have the money, not when you've hit your goals, now. Because the moment you shift your identity, your actions will naturally follow. The reason most people fail is because they try to change their behavior without changing their identity. They set goals to make more money, get in shape, or build a business, but deep down, They still see themselves as someone who struggles with money, who isn't athletic, who isn't a real entrepreneur, and because their subconscious identity doesn't match their goals, they self-sabotage. This is why some people lose weight and gain it back, why some people start businesses and never make real progress, because their actions changed, but their identity didn't. If you want to create an identity of greatness, you must condition it every single day. You must speak to yourself as the person you want to become. You must reinforce your new identity through repetition, visualization, and action. If you tell yourself every day, I am a disciplined, focused, unstoppable person, and you take action that reinforces that belief, your brain will start to accept it as reality. And once that belief is locked in, success becomes automatic. The key to creating a powerful identity is to align your actions with it immediately. If you want to be a leader, start leading now. If you want to be successful, start making decisions like a successful person today. If you want to be disciplined, start proving it to yourself in small ways. Wake up earlier, follow through on commitments, push through resistance. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. Most people let their past dictate their identity. They think, I've never been good at this, so that must mean I never will be. But the truth is, your past does not define you, your future does. You can decide at any moment to change who you are. And the moment you do, your entire life will begin to shift. At the end of the day, success is not about luck, talent, or circumstances. It's about the decisions you make every single day. It's about mastering your mindset so that nothing can shake your vision. It's about developing absolute certainty in yourself, eliminating doubt, and moving with unstoppable conviction. It's about embracing pain and pleasure in a way that fuels your growth rather than limits it. It's about taking relentless action, refusing to settle, and building a level of resilience so unshakable that no setback, no failure, no obstacle can break you. It's about shaping an identity of greatness, rewriting the story you tell yourself, and stepping into the version of you that is destined for more. Most people live their entire lives stuck in their fear, stuck in their excuses, stuck in patterns that hold them back. But that is not the life you were meant for. You were meant to rise. You were meant to push beyond your limits. You were meant to create, to lead, to inspire, to dominate. Everything you need to succeed is already inside you. The only question is, will you use it? Because the truth is, life is happening right now. There is no waiting, no perfect time, no someday. The only time is now. So decide. Decide that you will no longer be controlled by fear. Decide that you will no longer let circumstances dictate your future. Decide that you will step into your power, take massive action, and own your destiny. Because once you make that decision, once you commit at the deepest level, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that can stop you.